All right. So moving on. So, but the convention is not August 13th. The convention of this year is the 21st to the 24th. But next year we'll probably push it back a little bit to November or December, or sorry, November or October. All right. So it says here on page 165, why the North won the war. The Union won the Civil War primarily because it had the industry, soldiers, technology, and a centralized form of government. But to their credit, the Southern Confederacy nearly won the war because the South had a greater concentration of wealth, trained military leaders, and millions of unpaid slave workers whose labor provided food, military supplies, and supportive care for unattended white families and farms. The presence of 5 million slaves in the South during the war was a knife that cut two ways. A small number of slaves refused to assist the South, choosing instead to organize and become a subversive force within the belly of the Confederacy. Thousands of black slaves crippled the South by serving as spies, saboteurs, and guerrilla forces for the North. Runaway slaves left fields and homes in the South unattended. What may have been more injurious was the fact that a large percentage of them joined and fought with the Union Army. They were not only soldiers, but served as construction workers, cooks, personal servants, woodcutters, teamsters, and skilled craftsmen. By the end of the Civil War, more than 200,000 black men had formerly fought in the Union Army to defeat the old Confederacy. Okay. This says a black, now this is a black person's poem, a black's post-Civil War poem. Okay, it doesn't say who it's from, but let's read it. It's very short. It says, we ain't what we ought to be. We ain't what we want to be. We ain't what we gonna be. But thank God we ain't what we used to be. Okay, that's pretty creative, right? I like that. Nice, short, to the point. Okay, so we ain't what we ought to be. We ain't what we want to be. We ain't what we're gonna be. But thank God we ain't what we used to be. I like that. That's a good theme. It really speaks to something we talked about this morning in class about growth. Growth is actually really important. If you're committed to growth, then you're going to win. You will win because you're committed to moving forward. You're committed to learning. You're committed to developing. You're committed to always being better tomorrow than you were the day before. And I was mentioning to you that that's how stocks are valued. I don't know if you know, stocks are not valued based on how much money the company makes. That's not, or at least that's not the dominant valuation. The dominant factor in the valuation of a stock, this is from the equations that are used to tell you what a stock's valuation is. The dominant factor is typically growth, especially for young companies. Like what would be a good young company? Let me think here. We talk about like Oklo, right? Oklo is primarily valued by its growth. I know a lot of you have made money from Oklo, so that's a good example. And so basically, if you are a stock, which that's what you are a growing person, you are developing, you are learning. That's why you're here. And I applaud you. That makes you a very valuable asset to the community. Every human being is an asset when they choose to be. Some people choose to be liabilities, but you're an asset. And so if you want to be the best asset you can be, commit yourself to growth. If you do that, then you're going to win.